Give that man, Derek White, whatever he wants. A statue, a hair transplant in Turkey. It doesn't matter. I don't care if the owner is paying for it, Jason Tatum is paying for it, Jaylen Brown is paying for it. The whole team doesn't matter. That man deserves his hair transplant and his statue outside the Garden, bro. Jimmy Butler hit arguably the 3 clutchest free throws of his entire life, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter at all. And Marcus Smart tried to throw, bro. What was that shot? A fadeaway three-pointer? You could have taken at least like 2 dribbles or hit Derek White in the corner for a 3. It didn't matter. It didn't matter. Derek White was not picked up on the inbounds, and he was never boxed out by Max Strus. He was late, and that's the game. To me, that had to have been the craziest ending to a playoff game this season. I can't think of any other examples right now, but that was crazy. That was one of the best NBA games I've watched in a long time. At the very least, like a top 5 game I've watched in like recent memory. Honestly, at the beginning of this game, it looked like it was going to be a repeat of Game 5, especially towards the end of the first quarter, beginning of the second. But the Heat's 3-point shooting, specifically Caleb Martin and a little bit of Duncan Robinson, kept them in it. And that was the case until about halfway through the second quarter, until Jason Tatum decided he was going to take over and scored like 14 straight, 10 straight, something like that, and then had an alley-oop to Robert Williams and then a layup which put them up by 11. But honestly, the Celtics just started missing shots. I don't know if that was up to the Heat's defense, but they closed the lead to 4 going into halftime, and it was a lot in part to Jimmy Butler, who, yes, was like 2 for 12 at this point of the game, but he was getting to the rim, he was getting fouled, doing Jimmy Butler things, getting offensive rebounds with Bam. At least when Bam and Jimmy were not doing anything during this game, they were at least getting offensive rebounds and being aggressive and playing good defense. Tatum also had 25 in the first half, which he looked like the Jason Tatum that closed the door on the Sixers last series. At least in the first half he did. In the second half he was a little more non-existent in getting most of his points from the free throw line. But on the other end, Jimmy was 2 for 10 at half. I know I previously said 2 for 12. It really wasn't that bad, but I'm pretty sure he missed his first 2 shots in the second half anyway, so it kind of applies. I mean, look, the man ended 5 for 21 from the floor with 24 points and 12 for 14 from the free throw line. So half of his points were from the charity stripe, and 3 of those were in the last 2 seconds. He did not have a very good game. The counting stats at least may tell you otherwise. He had 11 rebounds and 8 assists, but for some reason, they really figured out Jimmy Butler in this game. I mean, Game 5 was bad, yes, but they went under every screen, showed multiple bodies in the paint. He just couldn't get anything going. I mean, up until he hit that like step back 3-pointer in the corner to put them within 4, Jimmy really had done nothing except shoot free throws in the second half and get offensive rebounds. He was active on defense and he was getting offensive rebounds, but scoring wise, they needed a lot more from him tonight. I mean, when it comes down to it, Jimmy hit the 3 free throws to put them up by 1 at the end of the game. So he did do his part. Someone who didn't do their part very well was Bam Adebayo, who had 11 points on 4 for 16 from the floor. And I can guarantee you, I'm not even going to look at the stats, but I can guarantee you at least 8 to 10 of those misses were short little jump hooks or turnarounds in the lane, and a couple pull-up jumpers that he hits sometimes when he's feeling it, but he was steady missing a couple of these easy bunnies over Al Horford. And I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm some basketball pro that can easily hit jumpers over Al Horford. Like, that's not happening. Al Horford played excellent defense, but Bam, he could not throw it in the ocean tonight, bro. It was tough to watch for most of that game. And Jaylen Brown got into early foul trouble in the second half. And honestly, that was pretty much the story of the third quarter. I mean, the Heat got into the bonus within 3 minutes. It was like 9 minutes and 17 seconds left on the clock whenever they had gotten into the bonus. I mean, they were just drawing fouls and being aggressive, and Jimmy Butler was trying to get to the charity stripe. But I have to harp on this, bro. Butler and Bam could not buy a bucket, which led to the Celtics going up by double digits again in the third. There was a possession where Butler got fouled on the floor, right? And then the inbounds pass, there was an off-ball foul by Grant Williams. I'm pretty sure he ran through a Bam Adebayo screen. And then Max Strus missed the technical free throw, and then Bam missed a jump hook, and then Butler got the offensive rebound, got a jump ball with Derek White, and then lost the tip for the jump ball. I mean, that was pretty much the summary of the Heat offense in the third. It was just nothing was falling sometimes. And when I say nothing is falling, I mean nothing was falling particularly for Bam and Jimmy. They could just not get it going tonight. The only thing that kept the Heat in this game, honestly, going into the fourth quarter was the fact that the Celtics kept coughing up the ball. That was quite literally the only reason. And because for some reason, every time the Heat switch to a zone, the Celtics freak out for like a minute and can't score the ball until they figure it out, and then they score like 8 straight. And just to throw some numbers out there, I mean, Caleb Martin was 7 for 13 from the floor tonight, and he was guarding Jason Tatum in the second half, and he did a great job. I thought that he was just going to get absolutely cooked like a jab, step back fader, but Caleb Martin kept his hands up, didn't jump. He did a great job against Jason Tatum tonight, at least when it came down to guarding him in the second half. Jimmy was on him, I'm pretty sure, for like most of the first half, and there was a portion of time in the second quarter where Jason Tatum got the ball twice in the post and just hit 2 like easy LA Fitness ass step backs on him, and it sure didn't feel like it. But Gabe Vincent had 18 shots tonight, and he was 6 for 18. He had 15 points. He did not play very well. He did shoot 3 for 6 from 3, which is exceptional. That's exactly what you need to win games. But that other 12, I don't even know when he shot the ball outside of that, other than like blowing a couple layups and getting blocked. And man, the real difference would have been that Duncan Robinson 3 on that jump ball, or that Duncan Robinson 3 in transition after that Bam block. That would have been a real difference maker, because at one point, one of those 3-pointers would have put them up by 2, and they didn't fall, which sucks because he was long on both of them and they both looked like they were going in. I mean, you could tell from the bench reaction of the Heat that they thought that ball was going in. And that first 3 where he had a time to dribble, he thought about it too much, bro. He should have just shot it as soon. He didn't need to take that dribble. Yeah, that was really the difference maker. I understand the real difference maker was the fact that Jimmy Butler made all of his free throws and then they didn't play defense. But if Duncan Robinson knocks down either of those threes, hell, if he knocks down both of them, the Heat win that game. Also, another interesting fact as I'm looking at the box score here, Jason Tatum was 0 for 8 from 3 tonight. And I didn't really take notice of that while I was watching the game, but now that I think back, that makes a lot of sense. In the second half in particular, everything was giving him problems, and that's the kind of issue with Jason Tatum if the Celtics want to get over the hump, is the fact that sometimes he can score 13, 15 in a quarter, and then other quarters, he has 2 free throws and doesn't do anything else. Yes, he gets involved and he's a good playmaker and he makes the right passes, but sometimes he takes difficult shots when his shots aren't falling, and I understand if you're a Celtics fan why that would piss you off. Jaylen Brown also didn't have a bad game. He had 26 on pretty good efficiency, 9 for 16 from the floor, but he was also 0 for 4 from 3. I mean, looking at this box score for the Celtics, it makes you feel like this was the chance for the Heat, bro. It really makes you think that. And the Heat were so close. They were so close. They were one Max Strus box out away from winning that game. I mean, Marcus Smart tried to hand it to him, bro. He literally tried to hand it to him. And it just feels like the Celtics are going to win this next game. And I was trying, bro. I was trying. There's a reason why I haven't posted on this channel for like 3-4 days, maybe even 5 at this point. It's because I was trying to stay away from the Boston Celtics are going to come back narrative. I was trying. I was like, no, I'm not going to make a video if it's 3-2. Especially when it's going back to Miami. I was like, Miami's got this. Jimmy Butler gave the guarantee. I feel like Miami's going to close it out here. And they didn't, bro. They were one Max Strus box out away. One Max Strus box out away. The history of the 3-0 advantage has always favored the people who are up 3-0. If there was ever a comeback to a Game 7, the team that was up 3-0 ended up winning that series. But what's different between those series, which there was 3 of them, and all of them ended with the 3-0 team winning, the difference between those series and this series we're watching right now is the team that was down 3-0 has home court advantage. And in those other series, all of them are going back home for Game 7. But this time, the Miami Heat are going to be on the road at the Celtics at TD Garden, and it's going to be much more difficult than what the numbers would tell you, because this is simply not a large enough sample size to tell you definitively who's going to win this game. Like, 3 games is not enough. It's simply not enough. Especially when this is the first time a team has gone down 0-3 with the home court advantage and then come back and tied it for a Game 7. Realistically, Game 7s can go either way. One bad shooting night. One tip in without a box out. You know what I mean? Like, that's how it goes. That's why Game 7s are the best thing to watch on television, in my opinion. And it just feels like the Celtics are going to close this out. And that corny ass quote where Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown were like, don't let us get one. They're right now. They could end up being wrong, but they're correct right now. You shouldn't have let them win one. You should have shut the door on them. You should have shut the door on them 2 games ago. Now you're in a situation where you got to go to Boston and you got to win. at the TD Garden. That's a tall order for Game 7, bro. Plenty of teams have gone in there and lost. And realistically, I know we can talk about expectations and what defines failure, but if the Heat lose this series, yes, it's a failure, but they're an 8th seed. They're supposed to lose this series. And they were up 3-0, and now it's tied 3-3, and it's possible that they lose it and have the first ever 3-0 comeback against them. And then everyone's going to point and laugh and be like, well, that's why you were an 8 seed, and beating the Bucks didn't actually matter. And it's such a shame because the role players that everyone has been trashing this entire year, they're second round picks, they're undrafted players. Those players are the ones that are outperforming their two big stars right now, in Bam and Jimmy Butler. I mean, Caleb Martin, if the Heat end up winning this series, he deserves Eastern Conference Finals MVP, bro. He really does. I understand that Caleb Martin probably has lower counting stats than Jimmy Butler in this series, but I'm going to tell you right now, he took over the defensive assignment to guard Jason Tatum in the second half, and Jason Tatum had a very bad half of basketball. And then he proceeded to have 21 points on the other end and shoot 7 for 13 from the floor. Honestly, that's bordering like star levels of play. Caleb Martin is having one of the best series of his life, and the Heat have lost 3 in a row. Crazy. This is why I love the NBA, bro. I guess we'll see on Monday. That's pretty much all my thoughts. I've rambled for long enough. Y'all take care. Have a good one.
We got to do our job to make sure we get it back here. That's number one goal. Take care of the next game, one game at a time. We can't look too far ahead. Ouch. And make sure that we... God. Good job, Grant.